Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
And today we'll be teaching you how to play Yield.
Will you yield?
Yes.
Oh. Yield is designed by Andreas and Marcus Mueller and Raphael Stalker.
The art is done by Satoshi Matsura and Luigi Sampieri Rodriguez.
It's published by BFF Games, who helped sponsor this video.
Now in Yield, there's been a rebellion. There's 5 factions that will compete for control, and the key element is to know when to yield and surrender.
With that said, let's head on over to the table and learn how to play.
As always, you'll begin by setting up. Each player will choose their leader along with the side they wish to play. Each features an asymmetric ability. For the first game, we recommend playing without this ability. You'll then set up the main board based on your player count. You'll place one neutral token on each fortress location within the board. Each player will then select one of the designated starting fortresses based on your player count and place one of your tokens on top of that fortress. Each player will then take 3 army meeples and the corresponding dials. You'll take turns placing one army on or adjacent to your fortress until all armies have been placed. You'll then proceed to distribute 12 units across your armies. You can distribute however you please as long as each army has at least 1 unit, and you'll be doing this in secret. You'll then collect your set of 6 strategy cards, draw 10 battle cards from the battle deck and discard down to 7, select a first player, and you're now ready to play. In Yield, you'll compete to conquer and keep control of the most valuable fortresses over the course of 3 rounds, or years in this case. You'll play cards to take actions, battle your opponents, and yield at the right time to preserve your forces. The player with the most victory points from the fortresses they control will win the game. Each round there's 4 phases: strategy, battle, conquer, and recovery and recruitment. Let's go over each of them. In the strategy phase there's 4 seasons. Each of the seasons all players will simultaneously first select a card they wish to play. Then in turn order they'll reveal and resolve the abilities of their cards. This will be how you move your armies across the map, position yourself to conquer and battle, and sometimes even execute those prior to the battle and conquer phases. Let's go over all the cards you have and how they work. Each card has 1 or more actions shown. When played, you'll choose the action you wish to take. Move all. This card allows you to move all your armies up to 1 space. Move 2. You may perform move 2 with 1 of your armies, or move 1 with 2 of your armies. Conquer and move 1. In any order, you may perform move 1 with any of your armies and conquer any and all fortresses where your armies are currently located. We'll chat about conquering in depth later in this video. Ambush or move 1. You'll choose to either ambush adjacent armies, which immediately initiates a battle at a chosen location and gives your units a +6 bonus, or you may perform move 1 with 1 of your armies. We'll go over how battling works in a moment as well. Upgrade and move 1. In any order, you may perform move 1 with 1 of your armies and upgrade up to 2 fortresses you control by 1. Ritual. Now this is a unique card. First, you'll reduce the value of one of your fortresses by 1. You'll then proceed to copy another strategy card from the ones we've mentioned. The first player to do this in each season can also assign the starting player token to any player they'd like, including themselves. Now an important note here, reducing the value of your fortresses will never lead you to losing control of the fortress. If your token is the only one present of your color there, simply discard the bottommost token instead. Those are the cards. Now instead of playing one face up, you can also keep it face down and draw 5 battle cards from the deck. An important note here is that your hand limit is 10. So if your hand exceeds 10 after drawing, you'll discard your hand down to 10. Now let's jump into some of the concepts we brought up in the strategy cards. First of all, movement. You may move across any path up to the distance you have played. Your armies can occupy the same location, but you could not move onto the same location as armies of another player. This brings forward the idea of strategically blocking your opponent. Now all other movements are legal, which includes moving onto fortresses of your own or your opponent's if they are unoccupied. Conquering. If you are on a neutral fortress or a fortress of your opponent and you play the Conquer strategy card, you'll immediately take control of that fortress, placing your token on top, adding to the overall value of the fortress. At the end of the game, you'll score a point for the height of all the fortresses you owned. You also get a bonus for conquering, a battle card. You'll draw 2 battle cards and discard 1 from your hand. Another important note here is that you may conquer more than 1 fortress if your armies are placed on multiple fortresses with this action. You'll get the bonus I described for each fortress you conquer. Now you can't conquer your own fortress, but the more that the fortresses get conquered back and forth, the more they'll be worth at the end of the game. Now let's talk about the ambush card and battling. Now you can only initiate an ambush if you're adjacent to an enemy army. If this is the case, your battle will begin with you obtaining a bonus of 6 additional units to start. How do battles work? Well, first let's take a look at how many players are partaking in the battle. If multiple players are adjacent, or even if multiple armies of the same player are adjacent to your own, all will partake in the battle, adding up their values together. At this point, all players who are partaking in the battle will reveal their army dials showing their unit value. The player who played the ambush card receives the bonus of 6, and all values are marked on the battle board. The player with the fewest units now has initiative. They will choose to play battle cards, yield, or propose or accept a draw. When playing battle cards, you'll need to play cards that match location of your units. When played, you'll increase the value of your units and again reevaluate the initiative. If you are still the lowest on the board, you'll go again. If not, the initiative passes and your opponent will take a turn playing a card, yielding, or proposing a draw. If you don't have a corresponding card to your location, you can play a card face down to increase your units up by 1. Now let's say you don't have a card or don't want to play, well, you can yield. When yielding, you'll lose units equal to the difference between the amount you have and the player with the most units in the battle. Now the last case if you and your opponents have the same value. At this point you can propose a draw. Your opponent can then choose to play a battle card or accept a draw. If they play a card, the battle will continue as we've described. If they accept the draw, the game state remains the same with neither player losing units or moving. Now the battle ends when one player remains and all have yielded, or if a draw is called. If there is a victor, first you'll check if the opposing player lost more units than they had. If they ever go below 0, their army has been destroyed and will be removed from the map. The winning player may then perform a free upgrade action for each army they've destroyed. As a reminder, an upgrade action gives you the ability to upgrade 2 of your fortresses by 1. Destroyed armies may be taken off the maps, however their units are not reduced to 0, but instead half of their units rounded down. These armies can then later be retrieved in the recovery and recruitment phase. Now if no armies are destroyed, they instead retreat. The winning player decides which path they retreat and moves the opposing armies 1 space. The winning player then gains the ability to chase, moving 1 to follow the player. This can be particularly useful when you kick a player out of a fortress. Now those are the main concepts. Now let's do a quick review. Every player will place their cards face down, and you'll review them 1 by 1, and you'll do this 4 times during a season. Now once this is done and everyone has played 4 cards, you'll proceed to the battle phase. Here, all the battles on the map are resolved. If there's multiple battles, the first player will choose the order in which the battles are resolved. After each battle, the armies are placed flat on the board to signify that they've battled this round, as each army can only battle once per round. Now after all battles have been resolved, the conquer phase occurs. Any players on neutral or opposing fortresses will get to conquer the fortress by adding their player marker on top, increasing the value of the fortress. Again, for each fortress you conquer, you'll draw 2 battle cards and discard 1 from your hand. Finally, the last phase is the recovery phase. First, if any players have destroyed armies to the side, they may bring them back to any one of their fortresses. Next, the starting player will reveal a number of cards in the deck according to the current year. 1 in year 1 and 2 in year 2. All players will then add the value of the units revealed to their armies, distributing them based on their preference. As a note here, no armies may have more than 15 units, and the value of the units are still kept secret from your opponents. You'll then proceed to the next year. After you've played 3 years, the game ends. For every fortress you control, you'll collect the tokens and add them up, scoring a point for each token. The player with the most points wins. And if there is a tie, the player closest to the starting player wins. And that's yield. Will you yield at the right time and come out victorious?
What an interesting concept.
And interesting gameplay as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to learn more about this project, go in the description down below and click that crowdfunding link. You can see more and make up your mind if this game is for you.
Exactly. And if you found this video useful, give us that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you're new here, because we make weekly board game content like this.
And we welcome you to our communities. We have a Discord and a Patreon community, and you can learn more about that in the description. Mm-hmm. Now, for our question of the day.
What is your favorite area control game?
Ooh. Mm-hmm. Control all the land and maybe win the game.
Yeah, maybe the fortresses that you need to maintain. Maybe it's this one. Who knows?
Yield, yield.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye.